Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tom Worth Jr. It's Sunday. We've had a day or two to digest what happened Friday in the Oval Office, and the response around the world was immediate Friday night. Leaders around the world uh, expressing their support for Zelensky, for Ukraine, and the UK immediately convened a summit of leaders, European leaders, as well as Justin Trudeau, I saw there. And that took place today, I guess, over in London. And I watched the press conference of Prime Minister Starmer, and this is what you want in a leader. It made me. We used to have presidents in the United States who could, they disagree politically or on economic policy, whatever you want. They could rise to the occasion to be a leader when necessary in times of conflict or national tragedy. And we haven't had that. We certainly will never have that with Trump. Biden could show potential to do that, but he wasn't able to do that. So Obama was the last one who could pull that off, and even George W. Bush before him around 9/11 specifically. It's I don't know. It made me long for the days of having a real leader in the White House, and there's kind of there's a lot of important people there, a lot of leaders. I saw, just looking at the flags, you had Canada, of course. You had France and Poland and Turkey and Ukraine and Norway, Finland, Denmark. All of these countries. Italy was there. Spain. I don't know. It's the kind of thing that the United States would always be at. Always, just without a doubt, they would be leading this. And when you would have something that not all of NATO would be on board with, that was when the concept of the coalition of the willing first came up. The United States says, we're going to do this. We're going to stop a dictator, a larger, powerful dictator, Saddam Hussein, from rolling into a very much smaller, weaker neighbor unprovoked simply because he wants their land and their resources. We are never going to have this again. That's what George H.W. Bush felt. And he felt that in the Gulf War, and then in 2003 with George W. Bush. That wasn't as clear there, so we had this coalition of the willing who they were aligned with what the U.S. wanted to do, even if you couldn't get a unanimous NATO support vote, because this was not NATO, this was the Middle East. But Ukraine is in Europe, and they would be in NATO eventually. That's the path they're on. That's the problem. That's part of why Putin wants to have Ukraine, so they can't ever be part of NATO. They have to be attached to Russia. So you have Starmer, and he's basically saying, he is saying that Europe is going to defend Ukraine. And he said that as far as the UK goes, there would be, as part of any security guarantee, there can be British boots on the ground and British planes in the air. And he says it needs American support. These things are nothing new, but he did say that he talked to Trump last night before moving ahead with discussing his plans with the partners there today, Sunday. So what did Trump tell him that made him feel okay with going forward? I don't know. But to me, a key development was when he mentioned two things. He mentioned Starmer. He mentioned that they would be using like $2 billion something of profits, he said, from frozen Russian assets. Now remember, there are supposedly over 200 billion in frozen Russian assets in Europe. I don't know how much of that is in the UK specifically, but this is, I think, so you're talking 1% of that total. This is Prime Minister Starmer standing up there telling Trump and Putin, we're going to start using your money. It's not a lot, but we are going there. Because we don't have enough money to do this all on our own. We're going to start using your money to pay for your war. How do you like that, Mr. Putin? But the other thing was this like 1.9 billion, I think, of 5,000 air defense missiles that are going to go to Ukraine. And those missiles are to be built in Ireland. This is what has to happen. You have to have a European defense industry. They have capabilities. They're not all geared up for wartime production like the U.S. always is and like Russia is. But they can get there. So taking $2 billion out of the coffers of U.S. defense contractors, you think those congressmen in those districts for Raytheon or whoever isn't going to get an earful from those CEOs? Because they are. These are going to be billions of dollars still to be made in Ukraine that will now go to European companies, not American companies. So good luck with that, Trump, Mr. Made in America. The other thing was the feeling that they're doing this. He said they need American support, and he's never going to turn on Trump. Macron is never going to turn on Trump publicly, and they will flatter him and stroke his ego. Now, there's only so much they can do because Trump is owned by Putin, and that's clear. But they continue to make the case, not just to the world, but to the American people, because they know that Tom Worth in Arlington, Texas, in his living room on Sunday is seeing these remarks. And people all over the United States, including United States Congress people, are seeing these remarks. And they're speaking to them directly. And they know this. They're great at this. Trump only ever speaks to his people. J.D. Vance they only speak to their base. These leaders are speaking to the world. And their very instantaneous public embrace of Zelensky was just, I don't know, it was hard not to just feel like that used to be the United States, that used to be America. When a country would be bullied by a ruthless dictatorship, America would be there. You didn't have to come groveling. You didn't have to say thank you 37 times instead of 36 times. You didn't have to say thank you, J.D. Vance. Like, who is this guy? You didn't have to explain to some stooge kind of almost off camera about why you're not wearing a monkey suit like he is. But Elon Musk is wearing whatever he wears and it's stupid black MAGA hat. Like, this is not what the United States would ever treat any country being invaded by Russia like. You would say, hey, come here, we got you, all right, we will repel them. We are the United States. We're not going to let this stand. We don't care how small or insignificant we are. We're not going to let this happen, especially if it's in Europe. Yes, they did this for protecting Middle Eastern oil interests, but Europe is just a special case for the United States. And you may not think it should be, but it is. This is where our system of government originated. Is all of these European historical studies and enlightenment, and this is where our founders came up with all of their ideas. They didn't do it by studying Tsarist Russia. I don't know. There is always going to be that special relationship. And Starmer is going to continue making this case. I think it's great that he speaks English. And he is just so confident. And he is a leader. Germany is still, they have their old leader there. And it may be weeks, possibly a month or more, till they get their next chancellor and their next government coalition formed. We know who it's going to be, but they still got to go through that process before they can actually take power. But that's another striking thing about this. You see the outgoing guy. Could you ever see Trump doing anything to help Biden on his way out the door. And then even when Trump is gone for 4 years, he comes back and immediately is still blaming Biden for everything that's wrong in the world, even things that he did, and even things that he himself is causing now since retaking office, he's blaming Biden for. I'm not seeing that from Schultz and Merz. They're not stepping on each other's toes because they want Germany to be strong. They're acting in Germany's interest, something that Trump has never, ever done and will never do. I was looking at what it would take to, if these Congress people suddenly say, you know what, this is too far, we're going to impeach you. How far-fetched would that be? If they actually see Trump, they see him selling us out to Putin. Of course they do. But at what point would all of the world be aligned, all of the democratic or all of the free world be aligned, all of our partners and allies on one side, where that side is fighting against Putin and Iran and North Korea and Belarus? And the United States leader continues to be with the axis of evil. At what point would the Congress people step up? Well, it takes 67 senators to impeach Trump. But that's after it gets through the House. So to get 67 senators, there are only 47 Democratic senators. You'd need 20 Republicans. Now that may seem like a high number. It is. But we had 7 Republican senators vote to impeach last time around when he was in office. So you only need 13 more than that. And those were shaky grounds. Those were, yes, it was Trump doing shady things and it was totally legit, but he wasn't actually saying the United States isn't the United States anymore. And I think you could get Republican senators to do that if you had them all lined up ahead of time, and you do have Thune in charge of it as the Senate leader. So he's not a complete Trump stooge like so many of them are. I think the problem is in the House bringing those articles of impeachment in the first place. Those they're just little. It's just, I don't think you're getting there from the House in the first place. But I think if you could get it over to the Senate, I think you could get 20 Republican senators to turn on him. So I don't think that's really an option. And even if it was, then what? J.D. Vance is president? Is that any better? I think it's better. He's not the head of the crime family, but he's still in Putin's back pocket. He's still the pawn of Musk and Thiel and all those guys. So I don't think you're gaining much other than whatever Putin has over Trump personally. He's not going to have that over Vance. He can threaten him and entice him, but he doesn't have the compromat, as they call it, that he does and has always had over Trump. Anyway, very encouraged about what I'm seeing out of Europe. All the MAGA Congress people have their talking points in order. They all immediately tweeted out basically the same thing Friday afternoon after everything blew up. So they were just told, hey, tweet this, and they all did. But I don't think that in any way means that they actually feel that way. When they are just following the script, that means they're not supporting him. It means they have to say this. Otherwise, they would come out and say what they really felt. So some of them are all in for Trump, but not all of them. I'm hopeful, super hopeful for Europe with the leadership we're seeing, and that they are going to tap in ever so slightly, maybe 1%, to those frozen Russian assets held over in Europe. So this thing isn't over yet. Even though Trump going to golf for the weekend and Vance going to ski in Vermont for the weekend may signal otherwise, like they think they've got this thing in the bag, other people are hard at work solving this major problem for the world. Other people besides these two buffoons. So hope you guys have a great rest of Sunday, and we will talk later.